Welcome to Inside Cottonwood. I'm your host, Hezekiah Allen, Interim Director for the Parks Recreation Department. And today we are talking food, my favorite subject. We're going to debunk a popular myth, and that is that food is not produced at the grocery store. I know it's crazy. Those leafy greens actually come from another place. Today I have with me Nancy Gottschalk and Josh Frewin. Welcome.
Thanks for
Inside
having me.
Cottonwood. And a little bit about Nancy. She's a local gardener. She oversees the Ochoa, okay, orchards and gardens. She has a master's degree in sustainable communities from Northern Arizona University. Interestingly, her thesis focused on local food systems here in the Verde Valley, and she's also a certified master gardener. My man Josh Frewin, he's the guy who oversees the market, sports and special events coordinator for the city of Cottonwood. And Josh grew up in Payson, Arizona, so you're a native.
Yeah, grew up in Arizona.
Wow, that's rare.
Yes.
It's definitely rare.
Yes.
Attended Greenville University in Illinois, where he graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Recreation and Sports Management. So thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So today we're going to talk market, we're going to talk local food, food issues, sustainability issues, all kinds of things, and so hang in there with us. Let's start off with some food discussion. So Nancy, not all food is created equal.
Very true. Very true.
Why? Let's give a little information to our viewers. You come from the sustainability side, master gardener.
Sure.
You have a lot of experience, so let us know.
Well, I think local food and that movement about local food is so important from the sustainability angle and then also from a taste angle. So from sustainability standpoint, we don't want our food being trucked in from hundreds if not thousands of miles away.
Right.
That's not the best use of resources. And then on the taste angle, if you have your food trucked in from very far away, it's not picked at its freshest point.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have quite the flavor that it does if it's harvested sooner from when it sits on your plate. So for example, yesterday when I sold at the market, everything I sold had been harvested just hours before, so everything tastes fresh and crisp and good, and it literally came a few hundred yards from my garden to people's hands. So those are good sustainable practices and good yummy healthy eating practices, and when food tastes better you want to eat vegetables more.
Right.
So it's a complex subject, but basically it boils down to fresh food, fresh local food is really what's best.
And from what I understand, when a fruit or a vegetable has hit its mature time, or when it's ripe, that's when it would give you the most minerals, calories. It's the best for you at that point, right?
Sure. Well, it's fully developed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I remember I used to, there was an individual at one of the local grocery stores, and and it was in the produce area, and I was able to chat with him for a little bit, and I was like, how do you guys get produce to this store? I mean, what do you do? And he said, there's actually individuals who work at the corporate headquarters, and their job is literally to look all over the world and look at the seasons and figure out where they can get produce from and ship it from. And, obviously bananas don't get shipped yellow.
Yep, yeah.
They get shipped green, and they hope that they'll ripen by the time they get to the grocery store, or maybe they're a little green, and then you take them home and they ripen up when you have them at your house, and so all that plays into a factor. And how neat is it that you actually grow it 100 yards away from the farmer's market, in the ground in your backyard, or however it works, and you take it to the market. So interesting.
Definitely.
Josh and I have fruit trees.
Yes.
I'm extremely new. We had a
too.
garden when I was a kid. I enjoyed the garden. The food was amazing, but I despised it at the same time.
Okay. That's okay.
Picking weeds was a nightmare.
Sure.
Now that I'm older, I can appreciate it. So can you give our viewers out there some advice on how to grow in the area, what grows best? For example, I've got these little ants that are literally crawling up my trees and stealing the fruit. And this is the first year we've got fruit on our trees, so I'm a little, we're at war at this point.
Sure. No, those things can be frustrating.
Okay.
I would say the best advice I could give gardeners is to fall in love with all the processes. So even if pulling weeds sounds like a nightmare, if you could just kind of fall in love with the process, feel like it's a meditative practice, then you kind of see it differently.
Okay.
And then I would say advice on fruit tree care. University of Arizona's Agricultural Extension has a help desk in Camp Verde.
Okay.
It's open 5 days a week. There's master gardeners on the other line, so you can call with any questions. They'll give you science-based answers. If they don't have the answer right away, they'll research it and get back to you with resources.
Okay.
So that's free and available to everybody in Yavapai County. It's the Agricultural Extension Office in Camp Verde, and there's no limit on the number of questions you can ask. So that would be a good resource for you or anybody in Yavapai County.
Oh, that's great news.
Yeah.
There is hope.
Yes,
There is
yes.
hope.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have the same problem with the little ants going
you?
up and stealing the peaches. So
That's a bummer.
And you see him go up there, and you're like, come on.
yeah.
Another question for you, Nancy.
Okay.
What does master gardening mean? What does that certification mean? What does it take to get that?
Okay. Well, I went through a 12-week course that was taught by Jeff Shalau, our agricultural extension agent. And it was a 3-hour class for 12 weeks. And then after you go through the course, and it's all science-based information. So you really learn from the cellular level what's happening with plants, which gives you a whole other level of knowledge beyond just the experience. And then after you complete 50 hours of volunteer service, then you become certified. And then you need to maintain hours of volunteerism and continue in ed to be considered a certified master gardener. So the class is offered on either side of the county every year. Right now it's on the Prescott side. Next year it'll be on the Verde Valley side. There's usually the classes are about 25, 30 folks, but it is just invaluable amount of knowledge. And then being among other like-minded gardeners is also just continuous education all the time. It's been great.
It's got to be exciting, trading seeds.
Oh, totally. And trading information, trading tips. It's been really great. A lot of fun. I actually volunteer at the help desk, so.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So if you call in, you're probably going to talk to Nancy.
Maybe. What you learn is that there's always more to learn.
That
which is fun.
That is a great point. And as people, we should always seek out that additional information and learn more and to grow as individuals and grow as a society. So Ochoa, what's the background on that? Why did you pick that name, and what's your vision for that garden? Did you start it to just feed your family and then realize I'm getting all this stuff, maybe I can help feed other people?
Right, that's exactly right. So I've been a gardener for, 12, 13 years. We have our house is in Old Town and have a nice size yard, and so just every year the garden kept growing and growing, and you inevitably end up with more than what you can handle, and you've got friends and neighbors, and eventually those zucchinis are like, okay, I've had enough. So the market has been a great outlet to be able to sell the extra produce. And the name Ochoa Orchard and Gardens, that comes from the fact that the house that we have, it was built in 1933. It's one of the older homes in Old Town, and it was owned by the Ochoas, the Ochoa family.
Oh, neat.
And we've met them a few times and have a lot of connection to that property. And so much of gardening, I think, is knowing history and having reverence. So I thought it would be cool to kind of throw that in there. It sounds cool, Ochoa Orchard and Gardens. So that's where it came from.
That's fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah.
And that brings me to another point, is the history of the area. And I learned this from the mayor the other day. And Josh, I know you're a little newer to the organization and to the city. The city of Cottonwood was actually, when the settlers came here, it was such a fertile area that Native Americans were already farming the area. The irrigation ditch was dug by the Native Americans that were here. And this was a farming community. And then the mines came in. And then obviously that had effect on the ground and the soil, so it kind of stopped for a little bit, I would imagine. And then it's kind of neat that we're picking that back up. But we're going to take a short break right now, and then we'll be back. We're talking food today, and it is not produced at the grocery store. You can grow it in the ground, and not only can you feed your family, you can make a little money at the market with the extras. So we'll take a short break. I'm your host, Hezekiah Allen, inside Cottonwood.
There are people who struggle with addiction and homelessness. Sometimes it may feel like there is nothing we can do to help.
But there is. You can make a tax-deductible donation and help those in need transition away from homelessness. When you give someone a handout, you could actually be supporting an addiction.
A better life starts with better health, especially for those living in the streets.
Support solutions, not addictions. You can make a difference. Visit cottonwoodcares.com.
This is Bruce Morrow, Transportation Manager for Cottonwood Area Transit. Remember, we cover the entire Verde Valley and Sedona. Cottonwood Area Transit has you covered wherever you want to ride in the Verde Valley, all day, every day. Take Cottonwood Area Transit through Clarkdale, Verde Village, and from 26 locations in Cottonwood. With Verde Links, it's a quick and easy trip to Sedona every day. Don't forget our connectors to Camp Verde. Visit cottonwoodaz.gov for Cottonwood Area Transit and take a seat. Let's go ride!
Welcome back, Cottonwood. This is Inside Cottonwood. I'm your host, Hezekiah Allen, Interim Parks Recreation Director. Good morning. Well, wait a minute. This is taped, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whatever time you're watching this show, we're glad to have you here. I've got Nancy Gottschalk and Josh Frewin with me. We're talking market, we're talking food, a lot of exciting stuff. Let's go into a little bit about food and markets and why it's so important that people realize that they can grow their own food. You know, in 2024, they're predicting 9 billion people on this planet. You factor in around a 2,000 calorie diet for 2 billion people. That's a lot of food. That's a lot of food. 17% of our local, or 11% of actually of our local population is considered starving. They're in the poverty level. And that connection of knowing that you can grow your own food and be sustainable. If anybody hikes Sycamore Canyon, you go down to the bottom, there's a little known secret that most of the locals know is that there are beautiful blackberry bushes back there that produce bushes and bushes of blackberries that are free. Literally, if you're hiking down there, pick a couple off and eat. So, Nancy, let's talk food, let's talk sustainability.
Yeah, well, you had mentioned before the break that so much of our history here in the Verde Valley is agricultural history. And I think that a lot of people don't realize how well food can grow here, how easily food can grow here. And you look at a place like Flagstaff that has such a local food market, their growing season is so much shorter than ours. We've got a nice long growing season. We've got good soil. So, you know, it makes sense for people here to be growing food and if they can have excess and share it with others regionally. It's good for our economy and it's good for getting food out to people. I think a lot of hunger and issues with food insecurity also have to do with getting food to people. So there's the transportation issue, and having little markets and having places where people don't have to go far to get local food is also a big part of it.
You know, Josh, I've learned so much from you since you've started, and your flag that's over your desk. That's what country is that again?
Chile flag.
Chile,
yes.
and you visited Chile and you lived there.
Yes.
Tell our viewers a little bit about Chile and the food world and the markets and how that works, because that's a little more old world, I would imagine.
Absolutely.
So
I did a study abroad in Chile, where I lived there for about 7 months in Valparaiso, Chile, and amazing, beautiful place, great people, just a wonderful society that they have. And they have a lot of, they don't have as much like typical grocery stores like we'd have here. Most of it's farmers markets. A lot of people grow their own goods in their backyard and come out to the market and sell them. And when you need fresh vegetables, you go down to the market, you buy the vegetables that people have available there. And so it's a different type of community, but like as Nancy was saying, you get the freshest fruits, freshest vegetables right there whenever you want. And down in Chile, being such a big coastal country, they also have lots of fresh like fish, oysters, crabs, all that you go down to the market and get that type of thing as well. So it's a very neat community and just kind of a different world than we have here.
Wow. You know, I kind of have a similar experience. I went to Ireland this past year, and I want to say it's Cork, kind of the southern portion of Ireland. They have the Queen's Market. and it's famous. And basically what it is it's a farmer's market. People produce this food, the cheeses, the meats, whatever, the vegetables, and they bring it to the market and the city center, and then people come and buy the produce and the meats and everything that was literally produced just outside the community. And we think organic is new.
Yeah.
You know, you pop in the grocery store now, there's this fancy like branding and these great pictures of people growing the food, and then on the egg cartons you see this was in Arizona. And in reality, we started that way. That's the way we were meant to be. And you know, Nancy, you've done a great program with sustainability where you mapped out all the local fruit trees. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So again, I think people don't, or some people might not realize how well things grow here. And it had just been my observation over many years that so many people have fruit trees in their front yards and their backyards. And so when I was with the county health department, I started a program where I would literally map out where these trees were, give folks a little bit of information on how to take care of their tree, letting them know that they have that tree, because some people might not know. Maybe they've moved here from somewhere else, or some of our trees are more exotic, like a pomegranate tree, you know, that not everybody would be able to identify that. So letting people know. And I, in a few years, I was able to cover just, you know, maybe a couple square miles of Cottonwood. And within that area, I identified over 1,000 food-producing trees. And that's just what's visible from the roadway and from the alleyways. You know, that isn't a full indication of what's out there. So there's lots of food growing out there, lots of food.
So let's make sure our viewers got that. You said 1,000?
I think I got up to about 1,044 or something, maybe even a little more than that off the top of my head. Fruit and nut trees, and then I also logged some native food resources, like if there was a exceptionally accessible mesquite tree, because you can eat mesquite bean pods if they're milled, and an exceptionally accessible and prolific prickly pear cactus, because you can eat the pads and the fruits off prickly pear cactuses. But fruit, nuts, and then some of the natives.
That is, you know, that's fantastic. And I remember as a kid in Ohio, we had 2 cherry trees and 2 apple trees. And every year I would literally climb to the top of the cherry trees and eat cherries for as long as I could. And it didn't matter how many I ate. And then we could invite friends over to pick the apples and the cherries. And still, there would be fruit hitting the ground. And so people there, if there's over 1,000 trees, fruit trees, nut trees, mesquite trees in this area, the people, the property owners, and I would imagine we've got approval from the property owners to be a part of this program for the sustainability and things like that. That fruit is hitting the ground. They can't pick it quick enough.
Right.
By all means, it's food. It's growing in the area. So Nancy, Josh, question for you. I'm watching this show. I'm thinking to myself, I could grow my own food. And it's going to taste better. And potentially I can make money off it and take it down to the market. I could feed my family. And it's going to be very nutritious because it's ripe. I'm picking it when it's ripe. How do I start? What do I do? What plants typically grow better what times of years? I've always heard the infamous April frost. Tell us about it.
Well, I would say a good place to start, again, would be the our agricultural help desk with the University of Arizona. They've got great resources about like 10 steps. Here's how to start a garden. And then what's great, and Josh, you can probably talk about this too, is the Cottonwood market, the music in the market is a really easy place to sell. It's very easy to get in, easy to do the paperwork. And as long as you're following good handling practices, you know, everybody, even if you're just a backyard grower, you want to make sure you're keeping your tools clean, your harvesting equipment's clean, your hands are clean. But other than that, it's a pretty simple process to go from just having excess to selling.
Absolutely, and if you're growing produce, it's actually free to come out to our market.
Really?
So you fill out the registration form that we either have online, or if you just come to the market, we can get your registration form there, and then it's free for the produce vendors. We'll get you a spot, and just set up your table and you're easy to sell.
Wow. And so if I'm looking to start a garden myself, there's 10 steps, and I like the gardening for idiots because that would be needed for myself. 10 steps to get started. Find that piece of property. If you don't have access to that piece of property, we do have a community garden down at Riverfront Park. I believe there's open space, and you'll just need to reach out to Marianne Jimenez, the city's clerk, to figure that out. And we do provide water for that community garden. So we're going to take another short break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking market in Old Town. We're going to be talking some food, live music as well, and we're going to have some fun with this. So stay tuned, and we'll see you in a bit. Thanks.
There are people who struggle with addiction and homelessness. Sometimes it may feel like there is nothing we can do to help.
But there is. You can make a tax-deductible donation and help those in need transition away from homelessness. When you give someone a handout, you could actually be supporting an addiction.
A better life starts with better health, especially for those living in the streets.
Support solutions, not addictions. You can make a difference. Visit cottonwoodcares.com.
This is Bruce Morrow, Transportation Manager for Cottonwood Area Transit. Remember, we cover the entire Verde Valley and Sedona. Cottonwood Area Transit has you covered wherever you want to ride in the Verde Valley, all day, every day. Take Cottonwood Area Transit through Clarkdale, Verde Village, and from 26 locations in Cottonwood. With Verde Links, it's a quick and easy trip to Sedona every day. Don't forget our connectors to Camp Verde. Visit cottonwoodaz.gov for Cottonwood Area Transit and take a seat. Let's go ride.
Welcome back, Cottonwood, to Inside Cottonwood. I'm your host, Hezekiah Allen, Interim Parks Recreation Director for the City of Cottonwood, and we're here inspiring a vibrant community. I've got Josh with us and Nancy, and thanks again for being with us. We're going to talk market and Old Town music and the market. It's a great program. If you don't know, around 2006, the market started a while ago. Prior to 2006, it was in the Tavern parking lot, and there was the market on Thursday, if I remember correctly, and then music or concerts on Friday. And so what we realized over time is that people would just come to the market, buy their produce, and get out, right? And it's not about, if you look at these markets from the past, right, we started out doing these markets. It was about an opportunity for the community to gather, to come together and chat and build that community and get to know people, buy your produce, shake the hands with the individual who actually grew that produce, get to know the farmer and where they farm and how they grow that food. So many times when you go to the grocery store, you buy a head of lettuce or you buy apples or certain things, you don't know where that comes from. All you know is it looks shiny and it looks ripe, and I'm gonna put it in the car and we're gonna take off. But a market is that organic process of not only knowing the food but knowing the person. Definitely. And so we combine the music and the market to create that environment and that vibe, and then we moved it to the park in 2006, and ever since it's been doing fantastic. And so we're going to talk market. I'm going to ask some questions here. We're going to get some information. And so Nancy, how long have you been coming to the market?
Oh boy, maybe 5, 6 years, something like that. So yeah, even though my garden grows a little bit every year, what's nice about the market is you can kind of show up with if it's extra, but it doesn't have to be a whole lot extra. Just come with what you have and sell it, enjoy the music. It feels pretty relaxed because, you know, even if you're only making a few bucks off of the little bit that you have, you're still having a lovely time listening to music, talking with folks. So it's nice that it's for the small grower or the larger growers too.
Yeah, because I'd imagine, and Josh, you probably know this as well, it's a lot of work to have a garden.
Sure.
And you don't want to see that crop just go to waste.
Absolutely.
And so, I mean, like you pointed out, it's one side making a little money off the crop. It's the other side of actually being able to feed somebody.
Yeah.
And Nancy, I stopped and I chatted with you at the market last night. Last night was the first market. And your son's running around the park. You've got this big shade hat on. Everybody's listening to the music. The blankets are out. You look at Mingus Mountain and the sun's kind of cresting just over Mingus. It's just a neat environment and atmosphere. So Josh,
Definitely.
if I want more information on the market, just give me an overview of the market. It's 2 seasons. When does it start? Actually, we went over that. It started last Thursday. But how long does it last? Let's go over the overview.
Perfect. So the market is every Thursday night from 5 p.m. till dark at the Old Town Activity Park, which is located at 187 Pima Street, kind of right in front of the Youth Center in Old Town Cottonwood, behind those basketball courts in that nice little the field back there. So it's every Thursday night, May, June, and September. And we have a different live band each week, different vendors, lots of the same ones, and got lots of new ones for this year as well. So it's a fun thing.
And it's free.
Yeah.
Like there's no charge.
Nope, free to come. And then if you're a produce vendor, it's free as well. If you're selling, we have vendors of all different kinds, selling herbs, essential oils, arts, crafts, food trucks, all those kind of things as well. So if you're selling things that aren't produce, it's just $5 for your spot each time you come. So real inexpensive. Get your spot and table and set up. And then if you're selling the produce, like we said, it's free for your spot.
And what better way to get a pulse on the community than to see the food that was grown here, and then actually to walk over to the food truck and see the food prepared right in front of you, and then to see musicians that are from the area, they're local musicians, play music, watching kids run around.
Definitely.
This area is a mecca for live music. Since I came here in 2006, I've come to the realization this is our own little niche here, and not a lot of people know that. Why is that? Why do we have so many musicians here? And maybe I'm going a little off topic here, but maybe it starts from the arts and the culture that have always been prevalent in this area. Jerome's a mecca with live music, and a lot of times families don't get that opportunity to see live music because it's happening in a location or at a time where it's not conducive.
That's very true.
Definitely.
So let's go over some of the bands that you have coming this year, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So that's one of the things when we're looking for bands, we want someone that obviously attracts a crowd, that has a good following to them, is family friendly, can just come out and provide some good musical entertainment for the park, and that people want to come out and see and just have a good time with their kids. So last night on May 2nd was our first market, and it was Keith Oakey and friends, and he always comes out and does a great show.
He does.
Just was a great whole feel about the market. On May 9th, which is our next market, is Sapphire that's playing. They come, TJ Brennan, who also works at the Cottonwood Recreation Center, does a great job with that band. They provide a great entertainment for the night as well and bring out a good crowd. We have Latex Johnny, PK Gregory, Dan and Yoshi Zrelak, who have done it last year, Lori McDonald, just a lot of good name bands that are all local in the area, whether it's Cottonwood, Sedona, Jerome, all around, that come out and really enjoy playing at our market as well.
Okay. And the market takes place at the Old Town Activity Park.
Yes.
And so if you're going into Old Town and you make that corner around the old Parks Recreation Building, and there's Bing's Burger on the left, the park is just to the right, and it kind of sits behind City Hall. It's a great little niche. It's got some shade back there, some grass. So that's the Old Town Music in the Market. It's a fantastic program. Josh, what's the website? And if we can put that up on our screen for the viewers.
So for more information, you can go on oldtownmusicandthemarket.org. And on there we have our poster, all the vendor information, vendor registration forms, the musical lineup.
And I just happen to know that you've got 2 great sponsors, Jennifer Griffin, who's always sponsoring great community events, and Allegra. So it's community supported by supporting these great events. So
yes, definitely.
That's appreciated.
Great point. Thanks, Nancy. And if I'm a merchant, or if I've got some additional produce one week and I'm like, oh, what am I going to do with this produce? I can still come to the market? I don't have to just throw it away, right?
No, absolutely.
How do I do that?
You can go on either that oldtownmusicandthemarket.org website, get a registration form, and bring it to the market, and we'll get you a spot set up. Or even if you just show up to the market, we have registration forms there. We'll have you just fill out, get a little information from you, and get you a spot. You can just set up your table and your goods and
It's a
Right.
one-page form. It's a
Yes.
5-minute
One-page,
process.
Very
Easy.
easy.
And you can commit to just one time, even if you've got that extra produce. You're not committing to the whole
No,
season. So
you
that's
absolutely.
really nice too.
Got it.
Definitely.
And if I'm going to show up for that night, I need to be there at least by 3:30.
Yes.
Get checked in. The market starts at 5. It goes till dark. Obviously, dark is seasonal. Some parts of the year, dark comes a little early. Some it comes a little later. And so let's just wrap it up here. Folks, food does not come from the grocery store. It is produced in the ground, and you have the opportunity to produce your own food. And not only can you produce it and eat it and provide a great source of nutrition for your family, but you can come to the market, you can grow it yourself, and sell it at the market. And so I just want to take this time and thank Josh Frewin and Nancy for being our
You're very
guests today.
welcome.
Thank you.
My name is Hezekiah Allen. I'm with the Cottonwood Parks Recreation Department, Interim Parks Recreation Director, and we're here to inspire a vibrant community and come out to the market and enjoy. Thanks for watching.